formula I wrote there, but there's the formula for f inverse of y. Here's a fun fact for you. There's an interplay between the domain of the function and the range of the inverse function, right? So what's the interplay? The domain of f is equal to the range of the inverse function, and the range of the function is equal to the domain of the inverse function. Now, can you tell me what the domain of this function is? Here's like a lazy way to write it. It's x such that 2x plus 8 is not equal to 0. We could simplify that a lot, right? 2x plus 8 equal to 0 is what? Negative, right? Negative 4 is the troublemaker. So we could say that the domain of f is really just minus infinity to minus 4, unioned with minus 4 to infinity. So just exclude minus 4, right? Now here's a question. What's the range of f? How do you know that?
How did I know that?
Uh-huh.
Pretty sure it's just the top of it.
Top of it.
Or am I completely wrong?
Well, completely wrong is kind of harsh. I don't know. I mean, a little bit wrong. How about that? All right, so to figure out the range of the original function, I would have to do some kind of sneaky algebra. Here's how I'd do it. And I wouldn't expect you guys to do this, but here's how I'd do it. 3x over 2x plus 8. That's 3 times 2x plus 8. Well, that's really 3 over 2. 3 over 2 times 2x plus 8, because that will give me back the 3x. I just added 24 over 2. I added 12 there, so I have to subtract 12. Having done that, I can see that this is equal to 3 halves minus 12 over 2x plus 8. And so I'm relatively certain that the range is all numbers except for 3 halves. But there's an easier way to see this, because we know that the range of f is the domain of the inverse function. How do you figure out the domain of the inverse function? We have the formula right there. What's the domain for the red boxed formula? It's y such that 3 minus 2y is not equal to 0. And you guys can all tell me that that means y is what? If we set that equal to 0, we get 3 equal to 2y, which 3 equals to 2y, y equals to 3 halves, right? So this is just minus infinity to 3 halves excluded. Now I can see that through this kind of very, I would say that this is, I mean, look, I think this right here is forbidden. It's forbidden art, let's say. I don't expect you guys to do that. All right? So what I'm trying to say is to figure out the range through just looking at it, it's pretty tough. But to figure out the range by looking at the domain of the inverse function, that's easy. So that's kind of a neat observation. We could figure out ranges for the function by looking at the domain for the inverse function. That won't help you with your homework because it's not something I worked into your homework. It's something I just discovered with you right now. It's a perspective I didn't have before today. So I'm still learning. Now, anyway, you guys had, does that answer your question? I think I answered your question and then I kind of digressed from there, but I'll stop now. There's one that says set f of a equal to f of b and prove a equals b. Let me work a similar but different problem to that one. So to show that a function's one-to-one, you could graph it and check the horizontal line test, or you could do this algebra, right? So if you have, let's say this one, I mean, we could do this example right here, 3x over 2x plus 8. We know that this function's invertible. We just found it, right? So let's check it's one-to-one. So the way we do that algebraically is we say f of a equals to f of b, and we're going to assume that. So assume. Then what? That gives us 3a over 2a plus 8 equals to 3b over 2b plus 8, right? Now, cross multiply. We get 3a times 2b plus 8 equals 3b times 2a plus 8. And what happens when we multiply that out? We get what? 6ab plus 24a equals to 6ba plus 24b. So we can cancel this term and that term, right? Divide by 24, a equals to b. So that algebra shows that this is a one-to-one function. If the outputs are equal, then the inputs must be the same. That's what this is. You have one problem where I asked you to work that out for like maybe 2 formulas or something. This is what you do. Just set f of a equal to f of b, do algebra, and you should get a equals to b out of it. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Well, I'll let you guys go. See? 3 minutes. It's something. I've acknowledged the will of the people. But for the record, it is a benevolent dictatorship, not a democracy.